All right. So welcome to the Sustainability Working Group, July 10th, 2025. Quick update. We had the TC54 meeting. What was it, last week? I think it was. It was rescheduled, and unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of attendance. We had about half of what we normally usually have because again it was rescheduled. Um, but the one of the first orders of business that we brought up was the formation of TG4. And right now, because we didn't have the full representation at the table, we have a preliminary approval to go forward. However, we would like the actual formal vote to take place during the next TC when we have more representation there. So that's a good sign anyway. We're going to proceed cautiously and optimistically, but it sounds like we've got a conditional go ahead. I have created the TG4 repo and have invited you to there within the ECMA TC54 organization. Um, and thank you to Mark for suggesting I I follow up. We had a conversation on the dependency track maintainers call the other day, where we're talking about the sustainability and how the security.txt folks actually made it a very simple user interface to actually create the security.txt. And Mark thought that would be a really good idea for us to be able to do something similar so people can create
That
the sustainability file.
wasn't
So
my
thank you.
got to give credit to Nicholas.
Yeah, exactly.
He raised,
Nicholas Duster.
but I brought it to your attention today. But it's Nicholas who gets credit for actually finding it.
Yeah. And I've actually used it before too. So, but that was like a couple of years ago. It's actually grown since then, which
Yes,
'cause there's fields in there that didn't exist a couple of years ago.
and
Um,
also credit to you for having a repo created within about 3 minutes of me posting it.
I had an extra 5 seconds of time, so why not? But yeah, I mean, let's just go ahead and again, cautiously optimistic, but let's go ahead and proceed. Um, one thing I did get feedback during the call. I think we'll have to find a different name for it, something a little bit more descriptive of what it is. So there wasn't a lot of you know. So
The
anyway,
Dugnaut was not good enough.
well, it
Right.
didn't describe what it didn't describe what the specification was. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So you mean the word confuses people, so they have to actually spend like a minute or two just thinking about what the word means before they've got any idea at all. Because of course, sustainability to most people means something totally different.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, it could be environmental or whatever, right? There's all kinds of sustainability.
Yeah,
Sure. Um, which is why I put in on the GitHub repo on TG4, I just put the name of it as OSS Sustainability as a kind of a placeholder until we maybe that's the name we choose. I don't know, but we'll figure something out. It's
Yeah.
it's not overly important.
shall I go and log in issue number 2 to say come up with a new name?
Yeah, so we actually have, I think Salve actually generated an entire list of names at some point that we were going through. We might have to revisit that list at some point.
Yes.
Um,
So you're
we
saying
will,
that was it the sort of ECMA peeps who suggested that the name might be needed, or was it you just thinking things through, or what?
no. That was feedback to me.
Right. So hence my logging an issue to say, hey, we've had the feedback. Right, let's think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And the
so that was the feedback. Let's get it done. Again, the specification is more important than the name. Um, so but yeah, it needs to be solidified at some point.
yes.
We can call it the code name or the moniker or something like that as Dugnaut, and then what it is. It's but I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. We also need to figure out what it is that we're actually building, Salve. We know we're building a specification of sorts. Are we building it? Is the end thing going to be JSON? Is it going to be YAML? Is it going to be a text file or Markdown?
I've been assuming we are going to start soon on a JSON specification.
Okay. All right.
Just since that's something we're pretty reasonably familiar with, and it is a structured data file we're aiming to do this, and there's already other files that are unstructured that are sort of filling the same space, but not as thoroughly as what we've been doing.
Yeah.
So for me, it's JSON spec is more than good enough, and it's easy and trivially translatable into YAML if you want to.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I don't know if it's relevant, but as an example, sort of when I'm doing code analysis, there's YAML support that I haven't yet got. There's YAML support which nobody has even looked at, but JSON support is basically sort of baked in. So doesn't that actually sort of isn't it actually more sort of common for people to say, oh, okay, it's a bit of JSON, I need to validate it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that am I speaking there as a non-dev? Is that actually a valid thing?
That the first thing you're going to do is validate it?
No. Well, no. I mean, when you're doing an analysis of your project, obviously, so people can define sort of files that get excluded. But if it's sort of JSON, you can say, no, actually, I want to actually include that because I've actually got an analyzer for JSON. Just to double check that there's nothing kind of funky in it.
Sure. I think there's some other benefits there as well. Like if we do JSON, right, we will be able to use both JSON pointer and JSON path to very easily parse out the sustainability JSON file, whatever it is, to extract only the bits and pieces of it that we actually want, right? So there's some other benefits to doing JSON. I mean,
so you're talking there about sort of the ease of implementation in tooling, like for instance, dependency track.
Right. And if we have a very, and again, you know, JSON, authoring JSON isn't hard, but it's kind of a technical thing. So not all open source projects are going to be code projects, and not everybody knows how to author JSON. So, I mean, there's open source hardware projects, for example. There's open source, you know, graphic things and all kinds of other things that are open source that have nothing to do with code. So if we had a way for people to author this, you know, in a browser, then I think using JSON is likely just fine.
Yeah,
So,
I think.
Go on.
I think keeping a door open for YAML is also useful because it's a super simple format and it can be written by a human without much complexity. And one of the communities we have already talked some about is regular meetup communities where you don't have a specific project as a center of attention, but rather maybe a cluster or a meta community, like around a programming language, like a Python meetup or a Perl Mongers meeting, or your local Java bin. And each of those kind of need help too, or have sustainability needs or contribution the requests that are worth communicating, and for them having a standard file somewhere where they can enumerate those what the things they need, and people can find it and see, oh, this is what they need, here's I can help with that. That's more than good enough. And then if we manage that, I think we'll be fine. But the point here is that while the for me at least, the having a JSON specification here allows us to do verification, and there's a pretty rich set of tooling around this that helps us create documentation and do all kinds of interesting stuff. And converting something from JSON to YAML or the other way around is, as I said, really simple. And we don't have to think much about it. We get it kind of for free, as long as we just say, if there's a JSON, if you find a YAML file, it's still valid. Just make sure you convert it to JSON, and then it's okay. Same structure, same keywords.
Yep.
Now, one thing, there's a big difference between like security.txt generator and an equivalent for sustainability. And that is that security.txt will normally stay unchanged for a long, long time. But your sustainability could change like between today and tomorrow, when suddenly I hear that my wife has got pregnant. That'll be the day when I get married. My wife has got pregnant and I need to actually hand over ownership of this project. Boof, I've got to update, generate a brand new sustainability thing. So does that mean that the schema is going to need versioning?
No. I mean, we would, I think, in my opinion, just take advantage of the fact that it's going to be checked into version control. Now we can have a last updated timestamp in case we actually want to do a .well known on a web server, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I don't think we need any complicated versioning.
Yeah, no, it's probably not necessary. But in any case, one thing we have talked about is that the file itself, it contains a link to the canonical or upstream or authoritative version of that file. So we can always look if there's something recent, and we something more recent than what you have been provided through whatever other means.
Yeah. And Calvi, did you ping Steve about your question earlier about how to basically reference it in CycloneDX?
I haven't. We have just started literally 15 minutes ago, but we can do it now if we're finished with this topic.
No. The topic is interesting because one example of sort of change of sustainability will be where I'm saying I need some funding, and suddenly funding comes through. I need to actually update it to say I'm not looking for funding. But what is important is that the tooling doesn't accidentally cache stuff, so that your tooling is actually basically telling you that Project X is needing funding when it's no longer needing it. Is that a valid thing?
Well, my thought was more related to how do we represent the press, or how do we notify or tell the presence of a sustainability field or the sustainability file, I mean, in an SBOM as one of the other files that you want to care about. And so that you can check if it's there, what it contains, and maybe also find out if there's some upstream recent version that you need to download.
This is where I thought, is this where it would be beneficial to have a new external reference type in 1.7?
Not 1.7 though, but 2.0, yes. So 1.7. Well, I guess it depends. See, here's we got a chicken and egg issue, because if the sustainability work, of course, I don't think it's going to be ready.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to make December, which means that we would have to have a final spec by September 15th. I mean, if we can do it, that's great. But in terms of the documentation, we already have like support for security.txt, and we refer to it by its RFC number. we could include if the sustainability work, if we think it's going to go, if we think we can meet the September timeline, to have a complete spec done, then we can include it in 1.7, but otherwise it's going to be too early. Because I don't know, I'm not going to know what to write for the description of that external reference.
Oh, yes, yes.
It has to exist before I can reference it.
In other words, it can work from, you know, what it's actually linking to, but it's going to be nonsensical to the reader who says, well, what is this external reference? It doesn't match anything I know of.
Right. So,
Yeah.
certainly for 2.0, what I would recommend, Mark, is go ahead and create an issue to add that external reference in, and then we can initially target it at 1.7, and then if we need to move it to 2.0, we just move it to 2.0.
Oh, you're saying create an issue in the CycloneDX specification.
Yes.
Yes, and I can actually say, hey, caveat, you know, it might have to be deferred until version 2 because it's predicated on choice of a name, creation of a schema, etc. Actually,
Yeah.
Once you've chosen a name, do you even need the schema?
No, you just need the
No.
location of where it's going to be. So the external reference is just going to be the location of where the sustainability information is at.
Yes.
Isn't that a bomb link or something, or a URL?
It's just a URL to where the sustainability. Yeah, it's an external reference. It's a pointer.
Yeah, it's a pointer. But having a description that says this is a link to a machine readable document that describes the a project's contribution needs or requirements or wishes or something like that, isn't that enough? And then we have an open space, and when the spec is done and gone through ECMA and everything, it's there already, and people who have implemented are implementing tooling for 1.7, it's ready to use.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe it's not
maybe
the description, but the actual type name. That must be clear. You know, it might only be 5 or 6 characters, but it's got to be the right 5 or 6 characters, or 10 characters, or whatever.
Yeah, like for example, I'm seeing as Mark showed me a link to the spec earlier today, and he pointed out. I took a look and I saw that support was a field there, which, strictly speaking, in my frank opinion, that's not a good word, because it's not clear if it's support that is needed or support that is provided. But if you look at the description, of course, it says so. It's things what is provided commercially or on a volunteer basis or something. I don't remember, which is okay. That's fine. So then, what we're talking about here is a contribution need.
Mm-hmm.
So if you provide support, you can need a contribution, and having the keyword called contribution needs or contribution wants or something like that, that's, I think, is in scope for us to find like a short description word that we can use to describe this file in any kind of specification out there. It doesn't have to be CycloneDX, it could be anything. Just how do we refer, what keyword do we recommend people use when referring to our file?
Yeah,
and
that's something we'll debate in
in
CycloneDX, whether we use a generic term like contributions, whatever, or if we do what we did with security.txt and actually use the RFC number for the security.txt. So we'll debate that within CycloneDX, but go ahead and create an issue, Mark. And in fact, you can also create 2 issues. You can create another one for CLE. I don't think one exists for CLE, but we need the same external reference for CLE.
But by using the RFC, you kind of have to assume that some standardization process has gone through, and that means you are now saying we kind of don't want to add new things unless it's gone through a standardization process. Is that what we're saying here now?
Well, we're saying that, you know, for the RFC thing, we are saying that instead of saying like, here's the security information, it might be an HTML file, it might be whatever. We're saying that here is all the security information and it's in this format. So now you can safely assume and parse that format, which is a lot more specific than your example of support, which I completely agree. Right.
Yeah.
So if we can do the same thing for the sustainability needs, then that would be ideal. But we'll debate that within Cyclone.
Yeah, the thing here.
Sorry, go on, Salve.
Yeah, the thing is that I had a chat with Mr. Knight, Eddie Knight, I think it was. He was one of the folks in the OpenSSF and Linux Foundation who was working on the security insights specification. And they were talking and had already started adding sustainability related information into their specification. So, what I got out of our conversation was that they were kind of planning on moving forward in that direction, but he couldn't say, and thought it was somewhat unlikely that they would go as far as we've gone with our specification here.
Yeah,
which is fine, but it means also that for any given project that has an SBOM file, they have two options to choose from. One is the security insights, which takes more the sustainability from a security perspective, and then contributions of the YAML file or something what we're doing, which is more from a sustainability perspective, but which still has security implications, but the focus is on how to sustain and support projects. So any given project that has to decide is in a position to choose one or the other, or maybe even both, who knows? And that needs kind of to be supported in the SBOM standard. And that means marrying oneself with just one specific RFC or ECMA standard might be a mistake, maybe.
Unless you have not one type, but two.
That kind of do the same thing?
Yes, but
this is like a security insights is more of an, I'm looking at it now, it has security stuff in there, but honestly, it's more of an index.
Yeah, but they talk about sustainability related stuff also. And what I got out of my conversation with Eddie was that they are looking at going further down that road because, frankly, because project sustainability is an actual security concern. It's a long-term concern, not a short-term, and it needs to be taken care of if you want to have some reliability on towards projects' capability to respond to incidents within a timely manner.
But does that mean then that you would want perhaps in the description to perhaps explicitly mention sort of, ECMA 54 TC4 to not that it's actually going to be kind of no, all it means is that so somebody who's actually trying to do an implementation understands exactly what it is from the description. So they're not going to get it confused with anything else. If it's not perhaps a best description, it wouldn't break backwards compatibility to like improve it in version 2, would it? The description.
A description
No.
could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, it can be, as long as we don't alter the meaning of it.
Yeah. Yes. So what I'm thinking about is that if it can make it into 1.7, and basically that means being ready by September, that means technically, and this is based on the assumption that sort of we've actually got sufficient dev resource. So I use dependency track as an example because it's a reference implementation, but it might be something totally different. You could actually have basically a reference implementation like 2-3 weeks later. You know, CycloneDX is not yet available, but you could actually sort of generate a CycloneDX 1.7 bomb, couldn't you? As a test. In other words, it's not yet a sort of standard, but you could do it to actually demonstrate that things are working. Couldn't you?
Demonstrate that things are working. Well, yeah, we have test cases.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, you sort of take I mean, presumably, I mean, I mean, you might get somebody working on, say, for instance, I don't know, CycloneDX Maven plugin, getting ready to support 1.7, which will be due out at the end of the year, but they're actually sort of trying things out starting in September. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, they will be. Yeah, and we'll probably end up releasing in October.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was forgetting about the difference between what a CycloneDX and ECMO. That there's a lag there. So my point being is that starting from September/October, you're going to be able to get support in, say, CycloneDX Maven plugin, where you define in your project sort of a config for the plugin is this is my external reference for sustainability.
And
then you'd have to then build support for that into your tool, be it, say, dependency track and POW.
Yeah. I mean, we could theoretically support it on day one.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it requires a lot of things to actually join together. It requires an SBOM generator to actually be able to generate your SBOM, unless you're like hand jamming it. But at the end of the day, all you need is for your sustainability sort of document to actually be available in the repo for which you're publishing the SBOM. Now, it might be like on day one, it might be like 2 or 3 repos. But as we were talking about last night, Steve, if it works, then there's one might hope that it's taken up by in bulk, and especially if you've got issue 1 implemented and you've actually got an easy way of generating a document.
Yeah, we can get entire foundations to adopt it.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, OWASP will probably be among the first. Because this is very much related to stewardship and CRA and very common questions we get as well. How do I contribute? Where do I start? And if we had all of the sustainability information across all the repositories, we could theoretically then create a dashboard that actually provides a walkthrough for, hey, how do I contribute to OWASP in a technical way? Well, these projects need these types of things. I mean, it would be very cool if we could like build kind of a user journey on top of the sustainability information across the hundreds and hundreds of repositories that OWASP has.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And then we're going to have to update the sustainability statement for dependency track to say, look, serious, we need the UX guy because we're battling on how to actually represent this information in the product.
Yeah. All right. So, where did we leave off last time, Salve?
Let's see. Did we come, by the way, to a conclusion now on this discussion here?
Mark's going to create the ticket. We will flesh out whether it goes 1720. We'll flesh that
Yeah.
out.
I would
We'll
love to
flesh
see
out the
this in
description.
1.7.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
Because
flesh it
so-
out, description and everything else and why.
Yeah.
I've got
Uh,
one question about CLE, but we've got the CLE meeting in like half an hour's time, so I can actually ask it there, can't I?
Oh, do we?
Correct.
It's in my
TG3. Yeah,
calendar.
I guess so.
That means this subject is now dealt with, and we can proceed.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Let's see. Asking. Let's see if we can come to something. I think we are at use case 14. I mean, the community needs help organizing events. We kind of have discussed this at a bunch of occasions. So the point here is the thing that is specifically necessary for this situation here is that this sustainability field, or the contribute.yaml file, or contribution.json, or whatever we call it, that we can place it also in contexts where there isn't a project. It's just a community website, which means basically .wellknown/something/something.
Right.
So we kind of have to make a decision there. I'm not entirely sure and what is a good convention to follow when it comes to .wellknown directories and file names. Any of you guys into that? Like, should we have a subdirectory under .wellknown that is called metadata, or is it just enough to drop a file called contribution.yaml?
Hold on, doesn't the security.txt tell you where to create the file for security.txt? And isn't it a well-known thing?
Yeah, they do actually.
So just copy that.
Yeah, and Cyclone also specifies it as well. Or no, not Cyclone, but there's an IETF RFC out there that also specifies the location of SBOM, .wellknown/SBOM, for example.
Right. So well-known URI registry. I'm looking at 6.1 in the security text RFC, which is 9116.
Yeah, it's just .wellknown/security.txt.
Yeah.
So we
But
could
we have to-
have .wellknown/OSS sustain, or sustain OSS, or whatever we end up calling that thing.
Yeah, I'm still arguing in favor for calling it contributions.json. So it mirrors the contribution.txt file you can already. Lots of projects are using, and GitHub is recommending.
Okay.
And a bunch of other communities are using. So yeah, so we have a structured way of talking about contributions, and we have the unstructured way, and it still makes sense. Okay, but registering a well-known endpoint in YANA, is that something you guys are familiar with?
I have not done it, but I know people who have. So, I mean, that's something we can register.
Yeah, so if we are going to talk about a CLE, CLE file somewhere, is this meaningful also for them, for that project?
Yeah.
So we can ask for 2 of those at the same time then.
So does that mean that's issue number 3? Is register?
Yeah, but you know what I just realized is that I need to, let's not create, well, I need to create another repository for this work, Mark. Because that TG4 repo is supposed to be just for like meetings and stuff like that, not for the actual spec work.
Yes,
So yeah, I kind of I needed to create it. I just need to create the other one too. So I'll get that done, and we'll move the issue over to that other repository
Hold on, what,
where the spec is actually going to live
where would the organization be?
under ECMA, TC54.
Oh, it's just a different repo.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just need to create, like we have the ECMA dash XXX dash, the name of the spec.
So that means you've got to create a new repo and then move issue number 1 from the first repo to your new repo.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. So once that's done, if you ping me, is it worthwhile then just writing an issue there? Because then, of course, that allows you to track. Yeah, it's been done. Here's a reference. It's complete, ready to go.
Yeah. I'll do it during this call, actually.
Okay. Who will be taking care of the ENR registration?
Sorry.
Let me see if one of the CLE folks want to do that.
Yeah.
So
And we got this, the IANA registration for .well known.
Yes.
Yeah. And would it be okay for us 3 to come to a decision on what we call the file name here and now?
Yes. I'm fine with, what is it? Is it contribution or contributions, or is it plural or no?
Let's call it, let's see, contribute.text. I've seen
Contribute?
how to build a contributing.md file. That's a website called contributing.md. GitHub Docs talks about a file that you can create, which they call just contribute. I know they call it contributing, actually, and they don't say anything about file type. It could be a text or a markdown file. So I think that if we look at the top 2 hits here, I would say contributing.json or contributing.yml.
Yeah. Okay.
I also like the contributing, but rather than
Right.
contribution.
Yes,
Right.
contributing. And I think for me that word communicates all that's needed, and I think it's even good enough to use as a keyword in CycloneDX to describe this is where you find
Yes.
information on how to contribute.
Yes. That's a good point.
Not support, just contributing. That could be the keyword that we need to just open the door for 1.7 to support some kind of contributing file to point at. And if it's a text file, it's a text file. If it's a JSON file, we can parse it. Or if it's a YAML file, we can parse it. And for me, that sounds like if that's the only thing, except for maybe having a good description for what this is for, then that's a pretty small addition to 1.7. And
Sure.
Yes.
The spec will be basically ready by the time the implementations out there will have something. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe a little bit premature, but the 1.7 will live for many years to come, even if there's a 2.0 coming.
Yes.
Is 2.0 expected to break compatibility with 1.7?
It will, but to a very minimal degree. The biggest breaking change is just removing XML.
Right. And throwing out deprecated terms and stuff like that, or discouraged terms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so actually that means I need to actually go to my S1 generation where I specify XML, is change everything to JSON so that when my plugins are updated, I don't break stuff.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, such a simple change, but one can prepare. Now, one question before I forget. So if you've done the IANA application, so you've actually got not only the URL form, but the file name. Surely that now, once you've got that, that now gives you perfect food for the description in CycloneDX.
Yes, exactly. That's all I need. Now that we've decided on the file name, right? We can say that it's going to be an ECMA standard, but that's going to be the keyword for the external reference.
Excellent. Okay.
But one question more. Contribution, Jason, contribution YAML, all uppercase, all lowercase, or what? I'm used it to be all uppercase actually in my community.
All uppercase, interesting.
Yeah, like it's a file that you put on the same level as readme.txt or security.txt. It's like, this is text, this is something that you should read. And I've also seen people prefix it with 00, just that when you list it in a directory, it gets sorted at the top. But
right,
still, that's beside the point.
Stupid question. Is it important because it actually matters, like for the system that you're actually reading it on? Because I know that like sort of our old thing about like Windows not really working unless you've got like the file extension and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And the fact that Unix is case sensitive, so a URL with a wrong case can actually like result in a 404.
right.
Yeah.
So does it matter? Does it have to be uppercase, lowercase?
I think we should recommend one of them, certainly, or we could also require one of them, but just not talking about it and leaving it to everyone doing their own thing makes it difficult to predict what to look for, and which I care a little bit about. Like if you can make a pattern that is easy to assume people are following because it makes sense, that means we can just go to a website for a meetup group, for example, and just add .wellknown/contribution.yaml, and you get a YAML file out there because you've spelled it correctly, even if it's case sensitive.
Right. The security.txt is lowercase. All the well-knowns, to my knowledge, are lowercase. I would probably lean toward lowercase and recommend lowercase, but I don't want to go so far as to require lowercase.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Now, before I forget, Steve, question for you. Do I then need to go to the SCVS GitHub repo and log an issue to say, add an additional control for sustainability for contributing?
We will do the true up with 1.7 once 1.7 is released. So we'll true up, meaning that we will look at all the deltas, and that's just one of them. But we'll look at all the deltas between 1.7 and SCVS bomb maturity model and fill in all the gaps.
Oh, great. So that basically allows, for instance, creation of issue with like subtasks so that everything keeps together rather than just being like a shotgun.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So what next? We've got the so who did you said somebody from CLE can actually register basically two well-knowns at the same time?
I didn't say that. I did say that they have a need to register just like we do, and I will ask them to see if one of them can actually do it.
Okay.
But you don't pay for it. It's just you have to.
It's just time, right? It's just time.
For what
I
it's
can
worth,
do
I
it
remember like 10 years ago, one of my colleagues applied for a port number and he got it like straight away. That's the honor.
It's a first come, first served basis thing. So if it's not like a
Yeah, well,
fancy
port number, yes.
number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely. I mean, there's no limit to the number of well-known that you could have, just limited by our imagination.
Yeah. Well, it needs to be well known.
Yeah. Yes, yes, absolutely. Cool.
For some reason, GitHub is not allowing me to transfer the issue to that other repo. I can transfer it to every single other repo we have, except for that one. Actually, there's a couple others that I can't. Well, I'm admin of the entire thing, so.
But they're two different organizations that own the repos, right?
No, it's all in ECMA TC54. Yeah, I mean, I can't. There's a lot of repositories that I can't transfer to, which is weird. I don't understand why.
That's a GitHub for you.
I guess. Yeah.
Okay. What I just wrote down in my notes here, we are recommending contribution JSON and contribution YAML.
Hold on, contribution or contributing? I thought we said contributing.
Oh, contributing. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let's see. Contributing. Yes. Give me a moment, and I'll. Personally, it makes me feel better if it's a capitalized. Actually, I'm looking at it, and the word contributing just disappears into a soup of letters, and it's almost impossible to see it. Maybe I'm getting word blind or something. But yeah, all right. Security text is lowercase. We can play along. Though, if we start shouting that people need to contribute, maybe that works. And capitalized words are shouting. So, okay, we'll leave it at that.
I know why I can't transfer. Okay.
Another thing is for placing this file inside a repository as part of a distributed artifact, a tarball or a zip file or something. Should we just recommend to place it in the root directory with everything else and just leave it at that?
Yeah, I would. If it's zipped up or tarball or something. Yeah.
But when the standard sort of comes out, if you generate an SBOM and the SBOM is then published to sort of Maven Central, etc., etc. Yeah, I know that that's not exactly your prime example of sort of the world's best package managers, are they? But it means like right from day one, you download the SBOM and you've got access to the contributing URL. Correct?
No, I'm just not entirely sure if I got what you were saying here. I'm thinking
no, it's contingent on somebody actually having added contributing.json to their repo. It's contingent on them generating an SBOM with a CycloneDX 1.7 tool, which will include the new external reference type to link to it. But then, and also it's contingent on them actually sort of publishing their SBOM for that particular sort of release to a Maven Central or whatever package manager. So then when you actually then access the SBOM for this library, and then it's actually not going to be access the SBOM for one library, it's going to be doing it in bulk for say or at least trying to do it in bulk for say the 370 dependencies that you've got in your project. And the tooling might retrieve, for instance, usable sort of contributing document for only like sort of 4 or 5 dependencies on day one, and then sort of 6 months later it's up to 80 or 90, and now it starts to become useful, because now you can start to build policies to say, all other things being equal, I'm actually going to like sort of treat those dependencies that have got contributing.md differently to the way that I treat those that don't.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what people do with the files is really difficult to say anything about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So my base assumption here is that there is value in just the act of communicating the needs,
Yes.
and that's enough. Right? This is something we don't have in a meaningful way right now. The only people who know what the project needs are people who are already well versed and know the project on a detailed level, or maybe have a relationship with the maintainers or something like that, or as part of a active user group or something like that. And then it's just a matter of like jungle drums in the night. Like we don't know what's actually happening unless you luckily by chance hear about somebody complaining in the right chat or something. So it's now we have a.
Yeah, my example is that I might have like sort of a relationship with one of the dependencies in my own project. So I'm building something. It doesn't matter whether it's open source or commercial or whatever. Let's use the example of commercial, because I'm a commercial company. I've got some money and I want to actually do something useful. I want to be a good citizen. So I don't have any existing relationship with not one single one of any of my dependencies.
Yeah.
But I'm building something with, as I used the example before, 370. I want to, and this is a whole thing. Remember, I mean, Steve, I'm not saying anything that this is stuff that you've taught me. Okay, the whole point about
don't blame me, man.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but some of the stuff you told me over like sort of the last 8 or so years has actually sunk in. It's the importance of machine readability, so that you've got the ability now to have access to literally hundreds of contributing sort of documents.
Yeah, you kind of have to pick. What I'm expecting is that businesses who have security needs, they will make a risk assessment and then try to help the projects that look like they need the most, and that has a good overlap with what is important for them. And for me, it's not like every business needs to support all of their dependencies or projects they depend on. It should be enough that they support some of them, because we don't need everybody to support everything. We kind of just need enough support that the projects become sustainable, and that could be just even it could be as little as somebody sending them a thank you note once in a while, just as for motivation.
Sorry, go on. No, what I was thinking about was that the NTIA minimum elements only requires that you've got your top level dependencies.
Yeah.
So you might actually have a policy which only focuses on those top level dependencies. So if a top level dependency is, say, Jackson, you might want to have, Jackson Data Binder or whatever. You might want to have a sustainability, so contributing to JSON for that, but not for, say, the woodstocks.core, which is a first or second level transitive dependency of Jackson. But in terms of sort of tooling and in terms of machine readability, sort of common expression language will allow you to the tooling to actually differentiate between the two. So each individual kind of consumer would be able to apply the policies that they need.
Yeah, and but also, like, hopefully that there are policies that also include how they can contribute, because and that's the language I want to start people to think about. This is the time of where everybody can be a bystander and or a freeloader. That has to stop, but that starts with knowing what you use and what you care about, and then actually do the work of caring, and which probably will require a budget item at some point. So I think we are done.
We are out of time. We are out of time. I just wanted to very quickly say that we've got the TG4 repo, which is meant for our reports, as well as the meeting notes that we'll have. And then we also have the we also now have the contributing repo, and this will ultimately be renamed once we get a 3-digit assignment from ECMA on the what is the actual standard. So this is the repo where the standard will actually live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Fantastic. That was a good meeting, wasn't it? Right.
Yeah.
You and I got to go to another one.
Yep. I already have to start the call over there, so I'm already on.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.